Alright, right now I'm actually not playing a ladder game. I just played this game and I thought that it would be a good thing to show people. It was actually a pretty good case study in how to hold off a 4-gate and also how to recognize a 4-gate. So I am here in the bottom right hand position. My opponent is in the upper right hand position. This is as you can see, a Protoss versus Protoss matchup. I'm going to fast forward through the early game because this really isn't necessary to see. Um, so a couple things to note: 9 pylon, 12 gateway, very standard. Scouting on 12 is usually considered to be a very good thing because it's much more economical than scouting on 9 like this guy did. He was probably trying to get a much earlier scout so he could perhaps throw down a proxy pylon. 14 gas, again very standard. My gateway and my gas end up being faster than him. I believe that's because I got because I had a slight economic advantage from sending out the probe at 12. So now 3 guys into gas, very standard. So right now I'm just going to be doing my standard cybernetics score then pylon because I usually go for stalker first rather than zealot first, like he's going to be doing in just 1 second. Um, this was not important at all. Um, a Stalker first play is much more economical because you don't have to waste the 100 gas on a Zealot. You can start producing probes faster, and you can put down your second gas a lot more quickly. That's what I usually do in Protoss versus Protoss. So meanwhile, we see him getting out the Zealot first, again very standard, and this is about when I notice that he has a little bit too much energy on his Nexus. This is my energy for comparison, and I'm going for a relatively risky economic, and sure enough, he chrono boosts the warp gate tech. So at this point, I know this guy is going for a 4-gate. So I immediately, as soon as I noticed that, I took one of my gases, my other gas. So this means that I can start producing sentries. You'll see me start one in just a moment here, and it should be going any second now. There we go. But right now, my opponent is just moving out with his 1 zealot. That's fine. There's nothing too much to note about it. I send my stalker around my base to scout for proxy pylon in base because that is the fastest possible way that you can lose against a 4-gate is if they get a proxy pylon in your base. It turns out he puts it down here, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Usually, players like to wait a little. And then I throw down my robotics facility because an Immortal is very, very good at holding this kind of stuff off. So I leave my Stalker down here for right now, and then I decide, okay, I'm going to go and scout around here, see if there's a proxy pylon. There is. So I get lucky here. He's already got his Zealot and Stalker coming. So this is a point where I get pretty lucky. He gets way too aggressive. He should have not. This move right here is terrible by him. He sacrificed the Stalker for nothing. Meanwhile, I get a Zealot out, and I've already got a second sentry on the way. My warp gate tech is almost done. His is just finishing, but his gateways aren't quite up yet. He gets a pylon up. There's nothing too much to note about here. I actually could have pushed down a little bit, but I didn't know that because I didn't know his gateways hadn't finished yet. So meanwhile, my warp gate is finishing. I managed to trap a second stalker. This is huge. He's lost 2 stalkers here. If we look at units lost, he's lost 3 units. I've lost none. I haven't even taken hull damage on any of my units. So this is very, very huge. Part of this is bad play by my opponent, but also part of this is just having the stalkers keeping everything in a very nice, controlled position up here. And right now, he's got the 4 gateways, but I have my Immortal on the way. He's got mostly stalkers, and he doesn't have proper vision on the high ground. So right now, I am in a very, very good position, and I can just win the game straight up just by letting things go to their natural course. He almost takes out a couple of my sentries, but I'm being aware, and that's when he leaves the game. Because at this point, if we look at units lost, I have held this beautifully. He has no tech. I have an Immortal and a nice little army, even some sentries for the good old force fields. Not enough probes, but that's another story. So that is how you hold one off. Now I'm going to go and show you the other side of this, which is one way of executing a 4-gate. So here's the next replay I have set up. This will just take a moment to load right up. Okay, so this is my opponent this time, Nicolas. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be some kind of like mispronunciation of Nicholas, or if it's something else entirely, but there you have it. Let's skip through some of the early parts. So a couple of differences you'll notice in my play pretty immediately. I still do the 12 scout. He does that as well, incidentally. So I start out with the 12 scout, and then at 14 gas, as before, he's going to throw down a 14 gas as well. Again, these are very standard timings. And then the point where it differs is I throw down a 16 pylon. The reason for this is because it allows me to throw down after the cybernetics core at this timing. It allows me to start a zealot in just 1 minute. He decided to go, as we'll see what he decided to go in a minute. He's going to be scouting me very soon right now. So yep, there we go, starting my zealot. He's going to put down a second gateway here, so he can get out 3 fast stalkers. This is actually a build designed to allow him to take out the probe that's going to be building the proxy pylon. Which is very effective, but I find a way around that. As you can see, I'm starting to chrono out Warp Gate tech immediately, start producing a stalker. You go for 1 zealot and 2 stalkers before your 4 gates. So this is what I decide to do. I build a proxy pylon, and then I go back outside his base. So incidentally, the reason I'm doing a 4 gate on this map is because there's no ramp. See, this is impossible to force field off, so that's what makes the 4 gate so viable on this map. So now I send in my probe, and I'm determined to let him see me, or to let him kill this probe in plain sight. So pretty soon now I should be building my either 3 gateways. You didn't see it, but you can see here he's got 1 kill on his stalker. He killed my probe handily, and now he thinks, okay, I've got free reign of my base, when in fact I've actually got a proxy pylon set up there. So now I end up probably chronoing Warp Gate a little more than I perhaps have to. Build a pylon here so I won't have to worry about supply at all once the attack starts, and then I start moving out across the map. Incidentally, 3 stalkers and 2 stalkers and a zealot. I won't say that one beats the other, but the 3 stalkers, if properly microed, will be very effective because the zealot can't get in range properly. So right now he's going to be moving in and trying to sandwich my units. My gateways are finishing right now, and so what I'm going to do is try to engage him where his army isn't. He's not got Warp Gate done quite yet, it's just finishing, and I've already got my first round of units warped in. And in a second I'm going to chrono boost one of my gateways. That's just a little detail. Chrono boosting gateways in a 4 gate is very, very crucial. I managed to kill 1 probe, 1 probe, and then I take out one of his pylons. This is going to this is going to supply block him. So suddenly he can't produce an army, and I have more stalkers coming in from the north, zealots coming in from the south, and he has got really nothing he can do, and so he GG's out. So this is the 4 gate from 2 different perspectives. First of all, one thing to note is this map is very, very good for the 4 gate because, again, of the no choke. You can't force field this ramp off, or it's not even a ramp. You can't do, like in other matchups you would just build some kind of wall off here, but you can't do that in Protoss versus Protoss because stalkers have a long enough range that they can just attack the wall, destroy it, do a lot of damage. I've seen people try to forge fast expand. That fails for the exact same reason. So this is the one map that the 4 gate is really still viable on. It's a very, very simple build order. All you do is you build the, as I said, Gateway, Cybernetics Core, 1 Zealot, Stalker when the Zealot finishes, Chrono Boost Warp Gate, all the way down, build 3 gateways, get a proxy pylon up somewhere, and then just try to micro your units as best you can. But on the defensive side, you need to scout the forgate as soon as you can, get out a sentry or two, and then just try to keep your ramp safe. You can usually skimp on producing any kind of stalkers. It's more important to have sentries. The most important thing to remember is that, as you saw in the last game, my opponent was able to warp in a couple of zealots onto the high ground. Those almost took out some sentries, but at that point he'd taken so much damage that it was already game over. But those kinds of warp-ins are very dangerous, and they're actually one of the most characteristic things of, or aspects of the forgate. Um, and if you're trying to defend with sentries, you need to make sure that he doesn't even get up onto your ramp. It takes once you have about 4 or 5 sentries, you've completely defended the forgate and can continue to tech. Below that, it's mostly just a matter of holding it off until you can build more sentries. Um, Once you've held off the forgate, you should be in an economic lead and a technological lead, and you should be able to push out, gain map control, and then choose between either doing a push into his base or trying to just hold out and take an expansion and try to cement your lead even further. There are other options like going straight for Colossi, but it's really up to you. Um, so yeah, that's just this all-in build order from a couple of different perspectives. I hope you enjoyed.